When I discovered I was going to be required to do the engaging project, I was torn by two worlds, television and theater. Fortunately, I didn't have to choose between them, and my engaging project focuses on the Broadway musical Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson and the HBO TV series Veep. I was first exposed to Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson at Point Park's Copa.
Governor Andrew Jackson! Yeah! That's right, motherfuckers! Jackson's back! A 1, 2, 3, John Madden, try to be an American Idol. Jefferson, try to be a rock star. Madison, try to make a president. Bible, James Monroe was a douchebag. The story always ends the same. It's hard to handle all that fame. You don't really have it in ya. Oh, oh, oh.
I was blown away, not only by the students' performances, but by the material in the show. And I thought, you know what? I really want to create theater that packs that much of a punch. It turned history into an emo rock musical, and it completely redefined everything that I knew about the man who founded the Democratic Party and confirmed what I suspected about the depth of inhumanity that we demonstrated toward Native Americans. Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson was written by Alex Timbers, who also created the Wee Herman show on Broadway, the Rocky musical, and Amazon Prime's Mozart in the Jungle. It was workshopped at his own theater company in New York, and then it debuted at the Public Theater in 2009 and ran there until 2010. And after that, it went to Broadway, where it won a Tony for Best Book in a Musical. The show is really an anomaly in that it's written in a style that really appeals to hipsters and millennials. So when it moved to Broadway, it was interesting that it made a smooth transition into what appeared to be a completely different demographic. And part of the reason for that, I think, is just how honest the book and the lyrics of the songs are. It talks about American icons like John Quincy Adams, John Calhoun, and James Madison in a way that's not typical of the respect and the sacred nature that history books hold. We get to see their fears and their insecurities, and more importantly, how they manifest as backstabbing and manipulation. Since its Broadway debut, the show has been seen all over the country, including Jackson's home state of Tennessee, at the University of Tennessee in Nashville, as well as Buffalo, Seattle, New York, and of course Pittsburgh. The theater companies range from equity stages to college campuses. And it's also caused quite a bit of controversy. Productions were even canceled at Stanford University and the Little Theater in Raleigh. Protests were staged in several places, including the Minneapolis Musical Theater, because Native Americans were outraged that, quote, Jackson was portrayed as a sexy pants rock star while slurs against Native peoples went unchallenged. So as stated earlier, the original audiences for Bloody Bloody were hipsters, who are typically white millennials in their 20s or 30s, who have an androgynous style of fashion. They have liberal arts degrees and typically work in some type of art industry, film, theater, galleries, music. They embrace vegetarianism and really, with a vengeance, stick to the non-conformist beliefs and values that are prevalent in their subculture. In essence, they're really hippies 2.0. So it makes perfect sense why they were the first to engage with Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, from the emo rock and the non-traditional costumes and staging to outing Andrew Jackson as a racist and a political schemer. F the man was the rally cry. But it also helps make sense out of the smooth transition from the public to Broadway. New York theater audiences are largely comprised of the original hippies, all of whom now fit squarely into the category of baby boomer. Now, boomers were born between 1946 and 1964, and while many of them have chosen the corporate career path that enables them to live comfortably, plenty of them still have some anti-establishment rabble-rouser in their DNA. Broadway statistics for the 2011 season, of which Bloody Bloody was a part, reflect that the audiences were mostly white and female, affluent with an average income over 200,000 a year, and were a median age of 44 years. So even that age, even though that age is technically puts them in the Gen X category, there were plenty of 50 pluses needed to get to that average, and even plenty in the 70 plus, obviously who were not offended by content or language. On the flip side, there are plenty of boomers who love pointing out the flaws of liberal politics. So, we found that a lot of them pointed out what they considered to be historical errors of fact in the musical. But the bottom line was, because of its controversial nature, Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson had something for everyone. From millennials who love a good stripping of lies when it fits their political perspective, to boomers who adore both drawing parallels between history and current political chaos, as well as dissecting the ineffectiveness of liberal politics. So it was able to bridge both the age and economic gap, attracting audiences from millennials to boomers, all who found something that they enjoyed about it. The HBO TV series Veep is a Christopher Guest-style satire on the politics of politics. It stars Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld, along with a recognizable cast, including Tony Hale and Anna Klumsky, as well as many others who you probably recognize even if you don't know their names. It was a spin-off, so to speak, from the British show The Thick of It, which was also a political satire on the British government. It was conceived by Armando Iannucci, who is from Scotland, and actually left pursuing a PhD on John Milton to become a comedy writer. So he created this with longtime writing partners Simon Blackwell and Tony Roach, both of whom worked on The Thick of It and The Loop. So the storyline follows American Vice President Selena Meyer, who is chomping at the bit to be treated with more respect than what is typically doled out to a vice president. She is surrounded by a staff of semi-competent, flawed, and quirky characters who are always getting her into a jam. The storylines follow her on various political adventures, including a visit to London where she tries to balance a commitment to the Germans that conflicts with one to the British. And the interesting thing is there is no such thing as a banal action on this show. Everything each character does, including the choice of a hat, potentially has devastating consequences. The show was renewed for a 5th season, albeit with some caveats. Series creator, writer, and showrunner Iannucci is leaving, and his replacement, David Mandel, has the power to change the shooting location. So we're not sure whether or not it's going to continue to be filmed in Baltimore or not. When the show premiered in 2012, it opened to a rousing 1.3 million viewers, with a solid 0.6 rating in adults 18 to 49. Over the 3 seasons that it has aired, the numbers have stayed fairly steady, ranging from 1.1 to 1.3 million viewers per episode, and holding the adult 18 to 49 number at a 0.5. Sociographic information for the show was in short supply, but what I discovered is that there are plenty of reviews and articles in online publications. Publications like Vogue, Paste Magazine, and NPR. So although it might not be scientific to draw a direct correlation between Veep viewers and the readers of online features, I think it's fair to say that there are similarities and that the sociographics overlap. So I pulled up the media kits for a number of these publications and analyzed them, which led me to conclude that Veep's audience core is 25 to 49 with a slightly female skew, mostly college educated, and earning more than $60,000 a year, which puts them above middle class, but certainly not at the income level of the average Broadway attendee. Veep's viewers are influencers. They are cultural connoisseurs who are often asked by their social circles for advice on entertainment, culture, and books. They're smart and current on the issues that affect not only them but the world. And politically, my sense is that the party doesn't matter. I'll even take it a step further and hypothesize that those who watch Veep are the core of what could become a new political party in America. Compassionate, fiscally conservative, and self-accountable. Think libertarians with a heart. Now, I draw this conclusion for two reasons. First, the data that I culled from all the media kits. And secondly, because of the content of the show. Even though Iannucci is of the liberal political persuasion, the show rails at the inefficiency of government and the narcissistic nature of those who choose to become involved in it. With much of America being fed up with the three-ring DC circus, Veep was poised to appeal to smart people who were tired of both real politicians and perhaps even hyper-liberal Aaron Sorkin-like revisionism. This quote from New York Post writer Kyle Smith sums it up nicely. By taking a magnifying glass and a sense of irony inside the Washington sausage factory, Veep winds up vindicating the conservative view of government, showing that DC is just a high school clique playing with someone else's credit card, a nerd army of mini Napoleons heaving vacuous rhetoric at the suckers to disguise its main motivation, which is to grab and hold on to power. So the conclusion that I have drawn, analyzing both of these shows, is that they both appeal to adults 25 to 49, somewhat skewing female, college, at least college educated, if not above middle class, non-conformist but of the non-hipster variety, cultured and appreciating authenticity and satire, as well as the willingness to embrace change. The surprise that I got from drawing this conclusion is that the audience looks a lot like me. So these are my analyses of both Bloody Bloody Andrew Jackson, the Tony Award-winning Broadway musical, and Veep, the Emmy-winning HBO television series.